Greetings. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. Welcome back to MyfanwyNia's studio here in Leitrim's Iron Mountains. My name is Harriet, and today I will be sharing a little process video of the method I use for setting art prints into resin. It's been a busy time in the studio over the past few weeks, as I had changed gear into making many craft-based products featuring my art for bringing to showcase at our local art centre's Christmas Arts and Craft Market at the Dock in Carrick-On-Shannon, about 45 minutes from where I live here in Leitrim. I chose two of my recent drawings from my sketchbook, the 𝕚𝕚 and Lady Luna, featuring a large sleepy moon. I chose these mainly because I felt they would translate well into the circular shape that I intend to cast as resin wall plaques. Here is a little snippet of footage from the time-lapse of me drawing these two. I scanned these as a good resolution into Adobe Photoshop, where I digitally enhanced the colors to the vision I have for the pieces. I also added a dark night background for the predominantly white drawing of the 𝕚𝕚. Once I was happy with the images, I cropped them in the computer into a circular composition, leaving a little bit of a bleed as an extra diameter for the cut. I then printed the artwork onto quality photo paper. I like the robustness of this medium and the quality of the image for setting into the resin. I used my Brother Scan and Cut to perfectly cut out the circle prints. This enabled me to get the sizing correct so the prints would fit neatly into my molds. This is a great piece of studio kit. I also use it for making pattern stencils, for adding texture to my mural work, and for cutting out stickers. This machine is different from other cutting machines I've used, as you can scan directly into the machine, which has built-in software for finding the edges of the image. I used a UV clear coat lacquered spray to pre-seal the circular prints. Depending on the type of thickness of your paper, you may also want to seal the back of the paper. I find white spray paint is a good option for this, as sometimes the paper can absorb the resin, which makes it appear opaque, like you would see with grease on paper. I don't need to do this for the photo paper, as it is a heavy weight and is already manufactured with a coating on the back. When this clear coat was still sticky, I added by sprinkling on some chunky, holographic-shaped glitter and some carpation pearls, some roses, sequins, little bits to embellish the prints. These will really pop under the resin. These glitters are by Solar Color Dust. They have the most amazing selection of hollow glitters, color-changing pigments, and glow-in-the-dark powders. I especially love their black rainbow glitters. The resin I use is called artresin. It's a 2-part UV stable epoxy resin with a super easy 1:1 mix ratio by volume. This resin is the best I've ever used by far, and I've tried a lot of different brands. Artresin is self-leveling and it's crystal clear, easy to color if needed. It does not yellow over time. Many natural and synthetic polymers get attacked by sunlight or ultraviolet radiation. Being UV stable, it prevents these materials from becoming brittle, cracking or disintegrating over time, making this also a very good resin for coating your acrylic-based paintings. If you're getting into resin projects, this One Gal studio kit is a really great option, and I've had a lot of play out of it. I find it works out much cheaper to buy it this way, and it lasts a long time. I'm using round 6-inch silicone cake molds to make these pieces. I will link my tools and materials below the video. I mark the quantities I want on the side of the jar with a marker pen. You can do this by measuring out 2 equal amounts of water. Add them one by one into the jar and draw your watermark, but do make sure the jar is dry before you pour in your resin. I added a nice amount of resin to the bottom of each mold to make sure the bottom of the mold is completely covered. I then used a paraffin blowtorch to quickly remove the air bubbles in this first layer of resin. This is the layer that will coat the artwork. I want it to be as clear and bubble-free as I can make it. A heat gun could also be used for this part, but I choose a blowtorch because we're living off-grid here in the mountains and generating our power from the wind and sun, so a heat gun would be very heavy on our electrical system. Please do make sure that your workspace is very well ventilated. Open a window. Heating up resin can be very fumey, and you don't always smell it. I then placed the circular prints face down into the molds and sprinkled the back with more of the chunky holographic glitter. I then sealed the back by pouring more resin over the bag. I again used the blowtorch to knock out any residual air bubbles. The beauty of using this silicone bakeware is it's easy to handle the high temperatures of the blowtorch, and it's flexible to easily remove the resin piece once it's set. A tip I would recommend is to soak the mold in hot water before releasing the cast. This helps with the flexibility and prevents you from accidentally tearing the mold by force, which I have done before. Make sure the resin is fully set before you take it out. When the resin was about an hour or so set and still a bit sticky and pliable, I had pushed a brass hanging fixture into the back. I will attach a ribbon to this for hanging the plaques. The cure time for this is 72 hours for a full cure. However, you can touch the surface after 8 hours without it feeling sticky. Make sure you clean your jars straight away. Wear gloves, wipe off any excess resin from the sides and bottoms of your paper towel. Then pour a little rubbing alcohol or acetone, which is basically nail polish remover, onto a paper towel and wipe away any resin that still may remain in your containers. Rubbing alcohol and acetone are both solvents that will break down any residue, so you can simply wipe it off. It's important to wipe out your container with rubbing alcohol while the resin is still wet. Once the resin has cured and dried, it will only break down if you let it soak in the solvent. That is a laborious process, so do get it done while it's still wet. Here's how the plaques came out. I spray painted the sides and edges of the back of the dark background print of the 𝕸𝕚. I felt the clear edges took something from the dramaticness of the dark image. I love how this turned out. And here is my stall at the Docks Winter Market, showcasing many of my other crafts, prints, and some original frame drawings. I make a lot of Rococo-inspired jewelry featuring my artworks as tiny prints set into domed glass carvajons with hand-cast and coloured resin surrounds. This year, I made a lot of new resin parts, including some hand-painted resin black witchy cats and a Flygaric toadstool charm. I also made a series of polymer clay doll face pendants. Each one was uniquely painted and accessorized. I really enjoyed this project. Do let me know if you'd like to see a future video about some of these pieces. I'm hoping to revisit this process again in 2020 with the intent towards making a whole doll. Here is some footage and photos from the day. This was my 5th year doing this particular market. I always loved doing this market with my friends who are also crafters and artists. It means a lot to me because it's local and there's not a lot of opportunities to showcase your art locally to the community where I live. I always bring my prices way down for this market, as I love the idea that my pieces are circulating in Leitrim, as most of my exhibition or website sales are often from further afield. This year, I also had the impromptu opportunity to bring my stall to the Colonies People's Christmas Market in the neighbouring county Sligo the following weekend, which was a really great experience for me in terms of rebuilding my confidence for going further afield and promoting and selling my work in person, as I did this market on my own and in contrast to the dot where I had my friends there to help me. I want to say a special thank you to them, especially to my friend Bridget Smith, also known as Raven Art, who stayed up late with me in the studio and helped me finish all my prep work in time for the market. We are coming to the end of my footage now, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm wishing you all a wonderful cozy winter season, and I hope to see you all again soon for another video. Bye bye!